Hello there, and a warm welcome back to Blooming Slopes Gardens. Coming up in this episode, we're in the raised beds, talking about what vegetables I'm planting out in March. It's a beautiful, sunny St. Patrick's weekend here, lovely and warm out and very pleasant in the garden. First, the raised bed area needs to be prepared for planting. I had cleaned it out well at the end of last year, so it only took an hour or so to weed out the area this time. Now, this compost bin, a legacy from the previous owner, presents a bit of, shall we say, challenge. The opening down here is very snug, and the compost seems determined to stay put in the middle of the bin. If any of you seasoned composters out there have the secret to coaxing it out, do share in the comments. Anyway, I spread that fresh compost on top of the bed and raked it in. Wiser gardeners may have already done this step earlier this year, but better late than never. I sowed 3 kinds of broadbeans way back at the start of February. Broadbean red epicure, green long pod, and meteor. I had tried to grow broadbeans the year before last, but I didn't have a lot of success that time. Mixed results on the harvest. The birds were fed though. The seeds were very ancient, at least 18 months if not 2 years old. As the seeds were so old, I sowed most of the packets expecting only a few to germinate. However, I was happily surprised when quite a lot of, but not all, of the seedlings germinated, producing nice healthy plants. I now have more broadbean seedlings than room on the beds. We are tucking them in, nice and snug, in these double rows, giving them plenty of room to stretch out. The rows are about 30 centimetres apart, with roughly 15 centimetres between each plant. Depending on the container I sow the seeds in, I can either slide the seedling out of the pot, or in some cases the pots will compost naturally and I can put the entire container into the hole. They're easy to plant. Just pop the seedling into the hole and cover over. This time around, we'll be adding a supporting frame and we'll put some pea and bean netting around that frame to protect the plants from being fed on too much by the birds. I'll spare you the 15 to 20 minutes of footage of us bumbling around trying to figure out the best way to make the support frame for the beans. There was a lot of head scratching and a few measure twice cut once moments, but we got there eventually. After that, I sowed some pollinator-friendly companion plants at the corners, pot marigold and white lavatera. I also sowed some onions and garlic along the edge. The next job for today is to plant out the potatoes. The first earlies have been chitting since early February and it's time to plant them out. I'm planting most of them in this raised beds area. I know some gardeners prefer to put the potatoes in buckets as it's easier to harvest, but I don't have the space. Let's have some fun and experiment a little. I'll reuse this box to plant some of them, and for some extra fun, I'm going to plant a couple of plants in a cardboard box. I'll let you know how that works out in rainy Ireland. These are the first earlies, so I'm sowing 3 rows of potato plants here, about 25 centimetres apart. Well, that's it from Blooming Slopes Gardens for this week. I hope you've enjoyed our little wander through the raised beds, and remember, even the smallest garden can bring immense joy. As always, thanks for watching, especially if you made it this far. Do join me again next time. Until then, so long and happy gardening.